Now, broadcasting from deep within your stepmom's basement, it's the Plex podcast.
In this world, accessible of kindness and ethical blindness. So please excuse my sarcastic tone. I'm a bit underwhelmed by the sample shown. Mr. Piss-Drunk fraternity guy, you got my ass full of bloodshot eyes. Get drunk and fight every night. Idolize Bradley, belittle women's rights. Homophobic, racist, and don't give a fucking hey. Do you think you can drive a bigger truck? So wear your baseball cap to the side to let everyone know that you're a nice guy. So cool, was so impressed. Lots of chicks in a barrel chest. Cause you're a real man. Punch for punch, gonna piss in your face while you're passed out drunk. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. He's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. She's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planets. Oh, I just can't understand it. Conquer divine by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, read into the lyrics, cause everybody gets their just desserts. As long as you remember that nice guys finished you're next on the list. Such a nice guy who speaks through his fists. Prick with a penchant for messing with heads. A broken nose for dinner and breakfast in bed. Alcoholic, paranoid, and suicidal too. But you'll probably kill her before she gets away from you. Screws in a pool of blood and cry. All your friends say that you're a nice guy. Have a drink, this one's on me. Look, you're doing fine, losing to your disease. Comatose, I'll pack your bags. Bury you like cats ready to gag. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. We're all nice guys, but all of you are assholes. He's a nice guy, she's a nice guy. Hey, Tom Bone's a nice guy. All of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. The fundamental put a body by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, jerk off. I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, jerk off. Read into the lyrics. So let the flunkies will quench your thirst. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Plex. We do the show live every Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific right here on Twitch, twitch.tv/EchoPlex Media. Just a reminder, this is listener and viewer supported programming, so I don't know, give me money in whatever way you can, I suppose. Go to echoplexmedia.com, click the support link at the top of the page. There's a bunch of ways to do it. If you don't have any money or don't want to spend any money, tell a friend about what we're doing here. Anyway, I'm producer Dave. You can find me on Grindr, and this week I just need everybody to remember that
everything's fine, and everything's fine, and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine, and everything's fine, and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine, and everything's fine, and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine, and everything's fine. I hope you have a real nice the traffic, the time, and the news. How's your commute? What do you do? Sorry I'm late, I kept hitting snooze. It's just one of those days. You know what they say. It is what it is. Ignorance is bliss. When it rains, it pours. Couldn't ask for more. What goes around comes around, all in good time. I guess that your guess is as good as mine. Everything's fine and everything's fine and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine and everything's fine and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine and everything's fine and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine and everything's fine. I hope you have a real nice day. Everything's fine and everything's fine and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine and everything's fine and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine and everything's fine and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine and everything's fine. I hope you have a real nice day.
All right, so we've been covering this story about this cooked police chief or interim police chief or assistant police chief or whatever it is in Millersville, Tennessee. And it looks like it's some local politicians, some Tennessee politicians have decided that the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations should cease and desist from their investigation. Here is more from Phil Williams, who should probably get a Pulitzer for his coverage of this.
They have the power to kill all legislation affecting the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation.
Now, two influential GOP state lawmakers are warning the TBI to end its investigation of the troubled Millersville Police Department or face political fallout. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rory Johnston.
And I'm Carrie Sharp. That warning was recently delivered in a letter just obtained by News Channel 5 Investigates, although one of the writers is now claiming it's not what it looks like. It's another exclusive dug up by our chief investigative reporter, Phil Williams.
Hell yeah, Phil Williams.
Well, this is the letter. It was sent back on October 10th. In it, the two Republican lawmakers insist that the TBI give back everything it seized during those raids last month in Millersville. It was these searches back in October executed by the TBI at Millersville Police Headquarters and at the home of Assistant Police Chief Sean Taylor that prompted the complaints, with the information apparently coming from the town's conspiracy-minded assistant chief who's at the center of the investigation.
I want to start off by thanking the speaker for allowing me the opportunity to serve on this committee.
The letter was written by Representative Bud Halsey, the chairman of the House Criminal Justice Committee. That's the committee to which TBI Director David Roush must come for legislation affecting his agency. Criminal Justice Committee member Monty Fritz also signed the letter in which they expressed their, quote, deep concern about what they called inappropriate and retaliatory action by the TBI in carrying out the raids. The two Republicans warned the TBI director, quote, it would be in everyone's best interest for the TBI to assist rather than obstruct the Millersville Police Department in their ongoing criminal investigations. They added, doing so would not only be the right course of action, but it would also help preserve the integrity of the TBI and avoid unnecessary political fallout.
But threatening political fallout, subtly or not so subtly, that's where you step over the line, and it almost seems like to be a threat.
We showed the letter to House Democratic Caucus Chair John Ray Clemens of Nashville, a letter signed by the two Republicans, noting their assignments on the Criminal Justice Committee.
That's concerning in and of itself because that has direct oversight over the TBI. And so the TBI knows that this chairman and member of the committee, they could really mess with that department if they so choose.
In fact, House
That was a big gavel.
It's a violation for any member to use his or her position to place any undue influence on any state agency. Although Halsey said in a statement to News Channel 5 Investigates that, quote, in no way was it my intention to meddle or interfere, but rather to express my desire to protect the public interest and integrity of the investigation.
Threatening unnecessary political fallout would seem to be an express violation of Section 1 of our Ethics Code governing our conduct in the House of Representatives.
Which means what?
Which means that a complaint should be filed, and the Speaker of the House and the committee that oversees these ethics violations should take action.
We were created as an independent, autonomous investigative agency.
The TBI director responded to the two lawmakers with his own letter in which he stopped just short of suggesting that they were attempting to interfere with the investigation. Quote, the Bureau was created in its current structure to eliminate it from political pressure and control, David Roush wrote. He added, I can assure you that TBI agents conducting this investigation will continue their work and be guided only by the facts and the law until their work is concluded.
We'd like to talk to you about some of your conspiracy theories.
All right, well, have a good day.
All of this comes amid News Channel 5's ongoing investigation into Sean Taylor's often bizarre conspiracy theories, including his claims that police video from Nashville's Covenant School shooting might have been staged, as well as concerns about what appears to have been a botched child predator sting run by Millersville police with the help of a group of MAGA activists.
There's members of the TBI that we believe are higher up that are a part of this corruption that goes into this demonic stuff.
Taylor has even leveled unfounded claims about the TBI being involved in child sex trafficking, but the two Republican lawmakers sided with Millersville's conspiracy cop, calling News Channel 5's reports, quote, intentionally misleading. Their letter adds, it is crucial that
This has been the opposite of intentionally misleading. This is very good work by this News Channel 5.
Itself to be manipulated by journalists with clear biases and political motivations. The credibility of the Bureau is at stake here. But Clemens says what's really at stake is the independence of the TBI.
It threatens, the very purpose for the TBI, and for them not to be able to carry out their job and protect the public from these types of crimes that are alleged is a real problem and a threat to Tennessee families.
While Representative Halsey says it was never his intent to interfere in the investigation, if you read this letter, it's hard to view it any other way. For example, they allege with zero evidence that the judge who issued the search warrants was somehow corrupt. And they say that the TBI needs to, quote, reconsider its approach to the Millersville investigation.
So, Phil, what comes next? Is there any consequence for this letter?
That is to be seen. Representative Clemens says he thinks that Speaker Sexton ought to oust the chairman from his position. We'll just have to see how this plays out.
I know you're going to keep us posted and be following it all the way.
All the way.
What a story. All right, Phil, thanks. By the way,
hell yeah. That guy needs some kind of like an award for this. This is hard, and I'm sure this guy's getting harassed like a motherfucker by these fucking pilled weirdos. I reached out to him. He didn't respond. I tried to get an interview. I am just not popular enough. Such is life. Now we're going to move on. There was anybody hear about some kind of event at Madison Square Garden? I heard about an event there. I heard a lot about it, actually. But don't worry, we're not going to cover much of it. We're just going to cover a small piece of it. I'm sure you've seen this clip. This is someone who's supposed to be a comedian. I forget his name, and it doesn't matter. He's going to talk about Puerto Rico.
A lot going on. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right.
Okay. Like even the crowd kind of groaned at him.
Yeah, normally I don't follow the national anthem, everybody.
The crowd, even that crowd was like, he didn't quite get booed, but that was not laughter. That was a crowd groaning. And now we're going to cover some of the fallout from that. Here's from Here's from CNN. And I guess the conservative on the panel, Lee Zeldin, just didn't do a very good job of discussing this, apparently.
But can I ask you? Can I ask you,
hall she did.
Can I put it in an alternative universe? That rally happens yesterday, and it's Kamala Harris's rally, and someone makes jokes like that. Would you be okay with that?
I have seen plenty of comedians on the left joke around about killing Donald Trump. Sid Rosenberg's not a comedian. Rudy Giuliani is not a comedian. David Rem is not a comedian. All those other people that we just showed.
There's also a distinction here, by the way. Kamala Harris has referred to remarks that reportedly came from John Kelly, a four-star general and Donald Trump's former chief of staff, when he referred to him praising Hitler. J.D. Vance compared Donald Trump to Hitler before he did his 180. Kamala Harris is not calling him Hitler. I think that's a very important
respectfully,
distinction.
I would say that today, for example, when Kamala Harris was answering questions outside of Air Force Two, she was asked a question about the rally, talking about going down this line of Nazi rally, Hitler, fascism.
He went after
she
Jews,
doesn't push back
Palestinians,
on
black
it all.
people, Latinos. I mean, he targeted every race.
But why is this Kamala Harris's problem? This is not Kamala Harris's problem.
Talking about
this is the Republican Party's problem.
But
damn, even Kennedy.
Conservatively, I know you. Can't you say that was garbage?
Or would you say that was a Nazi rally? Would you say Trump is Hitler?
I didn't say that.
No, but you wouldn't. You didn't. But the problem is that Hillary Clinton did.
But we're not talking about Hillary Clinton. I'm asking you, you're a good conservative.
Kamala Harris
can't you just say,
went with that narrative today.
Say that was garbage?
Kamala Harris went with that narrative today.
You won't say it.
But let's ask, I'm going to ask Jamal, who worked for Kamala Harris, about that in a moment. But on the Republican, as the Republican at the table,
sure.
Do you endorse what you just heard in the closing days of a campaign? Or
I think the president's campaign was correct to distance itself from that comment.
They can kick rocks. They can kick rocks. They're distancing themselves from
and it was
something.
An insult comic.
But wait a minute. They picked this guy. That speech got loaded into the teleprompter. They cut out pieces of that speech. According to Mark Caputo's reporting from the Bulwark, they saw the speech and cut out some pretty offensive language they didn't want to have in it and kept in it what was there. It took them hours before they actually began to rebut or push back or whatever it is they did to say something about what was in the speech because they waited to see how everybody else was going to react. This isn't a party that's showing leadership on this. Here's what's happening. Hold on a second. Donald Trump is betting.
So why couldn't the guy just be like, well, but the jokes are supposed to be funny. That was not only not funny, but in poor taste. Right? Because I forget who was it? It was fucking some famous, like not a comedian, but they're like, one of the things is like art is being able to get away with it, right? Art is being able to get away with saying things that you otherwise can't get away with. Who was that? Was it? I think it might have been Warhol that said that. Now, mind you, fucking calling an island where American citizens live a fucking garbage pile. You'd have to have a pretty funny fucking joke to be able to get away with that, right? Your joke would have to be like top tier, but the joke wasn't even structured very well. Like it was bad. It was bad. Like I don't know why the guy couldn't just be like, yeah, that was not great. Like whoopsie. He's like, that guy did a whoopsie. Couldn't even say he did a whoopsie. Up next, here's from the 5.
And you're choosing to talk about a joke.
No,
you
this is
are
what I
better
will
than
say.
that.
No, every show I say I don't want to hear about Hitler unless we're talking about Hitler. This was not about 1930s Germany, but you did have Stephen Miller stand up there and say America is for Americans only. Okay, that is the kind of rhetoric that does echo the 1930s,
well,
and that's
wait,
who's America for then, Jessica?
Who should we be for?
The
rest of the world or us?
No,
America first or last?
It's not about first or last.
Yes.
It's about sending a xenophobic message out to the world. Go ahead and
the judge was there. Had front row seat. Tell us more.
Jessica Tarlov, kind of a shitlib, but she does as they would say God's work over there on the 5. She's like, she like says the obvious thing and then just goes, oh, whatever. When people don't want to hear it, it's pretty fucking funny. To be honest. But don't worry. We also got Matt Walsh, who we haven't had actually on the docket in, I don't know, a couple months maybe. But this is just like the kinds of jokes that normal people tell.
So he made fun of Puerto Ricans, black people, Jews, and Arabs. That's a pretty equal opportunity offender. Were they offensive jokes? I mean, yeah, if you're a whiny little baby, they're offensive to you. If those jokes are offensive to you, then you're just a whiny, pathetic, ridiculous, sad sack of a human being. If it was actually offensive, okay, not like you're pretending to be. But if you heard any of those jokes, and were actually hurt by them, then you're just a ridiculous person. And your opinion doesn't matter. Which, of course, describes the media, which is why they've been screeching about this, and Kamala's campaign has been screeching about it. As I said, even some conservatives are saying, this is, this was not, it was too far. This was too far. Look, first of all, if you're on the right, we should all understand by now this general rule that when the left is upset about something and they're, getting the pitchfork mob together, you never join it.
Wait, so if people whose politics you don't share think that someone did something wrong, you should not think to yourself, well, did that person do something wrong? You should just reflexively decide that the people who don't share your politics, that they're wrong. Isn't that what these people accuse us of doing constantly? Maybe not him so much, but his boss, Ben, particularly.
Ever. It's just, I don't care if you agree with them. You still don't join it. You never join the left-wing pitchfork mob. Never. You never legitimize it under any circumstance. Especially not this, when they're jokes that we're talking about. And here's the thing. Normal people are not offended. Normal people of all races and ethnicities are not offended. Why? Because these are the kinds of jokes that normal people tell. It's in a normal environment. If somebody made any of those comments.
So the difference, a normal environment, you're not up on a stage. And in a normal environment, your friends might be like, what the fuck are you talking about? You ever said something and had your friends go, yo, what are you talking about? And you're like, oh, and you think about it, you're like, I don't know. If you're at a comedy club and you do that, people might boo you. They might call you a hack.
In your living room or something. Nobody would start crying about it. Nobody would. And that's always been the not so...
So if I go into your living room and call your wife and kids ugly, that's just jokes. Normal people tell them. I would if I went into this guy's living room, it would be because I was kidnapped.
Political success is that he says something. I mean, he didn't say this, but it was at his rally. But generally, he says something. The media cries about it. And then everyone else thinks, well, yeah, but that's how I talk. That's how my friends talk. Why would I be offended by that? And I also think that that's maybe the deeper strategy here. I'm not one, as you know, to get into the 4D chess stuff with Trump. But I do think there's a reason.
But this guy probably has trouble playing 2D chess.
To this event. And they invited one who's known for telling jokes like this. This is not, anyone who's a fan of this guy is not surprised by it. These are the kinds of jokes that he tells. And
this guy's podcast, what he does, and I'm not kidding, this guy's got a popular podcast. He's a comic who, for all intents and purposes, has made it, right? He makes a living doing comedy. They make fun of open mic comics. They talk shit on people who go to do open mic comedy. Those are amateurs, or they're amateurs. Those are people who have a day job and want to do some stand up at night, right? At an open mic, the fucking general rule is that you just fucking clap for everybody because it's an open mic and you're there to get drunk and have fun or whatever. It's like the karaoke rules almost, right? You clap for everybody. But this guy's podcast, they spend a lot of time fucking shitting on people who are just starting out or people who just thought it might be fun to do some open mic comedy. It's the podcast is garbage.
And they invited this particular comedian. And the reason, I think, is that, and this is not even really 4D chess. This is just this is pretty basic strategy. The reason is that they knew he would tell some edgy jokes, and they knew the media and the Dems would not be able to help themselves, and they would spend the next, 3 to 5 days crying about it. So Trump is goading the Dems into spending their final week on the campaign trail crying about jokes. Which is that's exactly the kind.
That's actually not what the Harris campaign has been doing. If it's been popular in the media or whatever, that's not what the Harris campaign has been doing.
School marmish nonsense that killed them in 2016, and Trump is harnessing that energy again. I think it's pretty smart, actually. If they want to spend their time, you got 1 week left, and you want to spend your time.
Yeah, but this is really dumb in a couple ways. There's people don't know this. There's a lot of Puerto Rican people in Pennsylvania and Arizona. Those are swing states.
lying about a joke.
Florida too, but Florida, I mean,
Florida's gone. I think Trump's more than happy to allow them to do that. Go ahead. It's kind of just like dangling that bait out there. Go ahead and take it. And they can't help themselves. So I think that's, I don't think it hurts Trump at all, ultimately. All right.
Astute political analysis from Matt Walsh. I don't know how much it hurts anybody, but it like, I don't, it's hard to tell. It's late in the game. A lot of people have actually already voted. So who knows? Who fucking knows? But maybe some people whose ballot's been sitting there thought to themselves, well, because some of these states are going to be like razor thin. The popular vote isn't going to be razor thin. The popular vote is just going to be, it's going to be a fucking blowout. The popular vote is always a blowout. Some wonderful websites these folks have here where I'm getting this content. Anyway, so in a move that surprises nobody, Tulsi Gabbard does this
for our country, and specifically because of the leadership that President Trump has brought to transform the Republican Party and bring it back to the party of the people and the party of peace, that I'm proud to stand here with you today, President Trump, and announce that I'm joining the Republican Party.
Holy nobody cares. This is your 16th minute, lady.
I'm joining the party of the people, the party of equality, the party that was founded to
It's like when Liberace came out.
end slavery in this country. It is the party of common sense and the party that is led by a president, and it is because of my love for our country.
So, yeah, that's like when Liberace came out. Everybody was like, oh shit, Liberace was gay? Yeah, of course. Up next, we got Trump on Fox and Friends talking about how he's going to fix the schools in the Bronx. This ought to be interesting.
We have here in the Bronx. What are we going to do? Failing. What are we going to do to improve that in our school systems?
Well, we're moving them back from Washington, where you have people that don't care about New York, frankly. You know, in Washington, I don't know if you ever noticed this, you go Department of Education, you got half the buildings are Department of Education. I never saw, you don't need any of them. I want one person and a secretary to just make sure they're teaching English, okay? Give it a little English, okay? I said reading, writing, and arithmetic. No transgender, no operations. They take your kid. There are some places, your boy leaves the school, comes back, a girl, okay? Without parental consent. What
I can't even give you an aspirin.
That's when they talk about a threat to democracy, they're a threat. Could you imagine, without parental consent? At first, when I was told that was actually happening, I said, it's an exaggeration. No, it happens. It happens. There are areas where it happens. We're not going to let it happen.
That's not the answer. The guy that asked the question is probably like a Trump or two, and he's like, that's not really what I asked. Like a fucking dumbass. Up next, we got Chris Sununu. Chris Sununu is just fucking ride or fucking die for Trump. No matter what happens, I guess. Chris Sununu is ride or fucking die for Trump.
Chris Sununu. It's good to see you, Governor. Thanks for being here. Hearing that,
you bet.
Does that change how you feel about Donald Trump and your plans to vote for him?
No, look, I respect General Kelly. I think he's great. He's got a long-term relationship with the president. When you get into these final weeks, it's all about results. So of course you're going to get salacious things said and all that. And I'm not taking away the general's conversation with the former president. But at the end of the day, just what that poll that your team was just looking at, independents want results. They don't want that kind of ultra liberal extremism. They want to be told the truth. They want to get their cost of living down. That's where voters are going going to go. So it's not just a Chris Sununu thing or a General Kelly thing. If you're talking to the American voters out there, they just need a cultural change coming out of Washington. So, look, we've heard a lot of extreme things.
But running on this, the culture of Washington is broken bullshit and doesn't work.
It's really, unfortunately, with a guy like that, it's kind of baked into the vote at this point. So those last swing voters are just going to kind of push towards what's going to get a little ease on my family, a little ease on the cost of living.
I hear your your astute political analysis on the kind of the state of play. Chris Sununu, it's good to see you, Governor. Thanks for being here. Hearing that,
you bet.
Does that change how you feel?
Oh man, sorry about this. So we got more. Here's more.
Supporting the ticket and saying that is saying that you're going to support someone who Marine General John Kelly says fits the definition of fascist, for sure, he says. He says that, John Kelly says that Trump, quote, certainly prefers the dictator approach to government. In supporting the ticket, that is something that you're supporting. Yeah. Is that something you are okay with?
Death by Sununu.
No, look, I don't think anybody should be okay with statements like that, of course. And if there's ever anyone you don't want any sort of comparison to, it's Hitler and all of that sort of thing. As we've discussed before, I think it's not just what Chris Sununu is going to be voting for. I think most of America is going to go this way. I do think Trump wins this thing in the end, and it's about...
Most of America is going to go... He's going to get clobbered in the popular vote.
I don't like the things he says, but if we can get a Republican mindset out of Washington that says you come first as an individual, not big governments, states' rights matter, regulatory reforms, we're going to cut regulation out, we're going to make things a little easier in terms of cost, we're going to handle the inflation.
Having all kinds of trouble with the playback today. Well, whatever. Yeah, Chris Sununu, hella ride or die for DT. Up next, we're gonna deport 10 million people, maybe more. Who knows? Just depends on how much time do we have, how much resources do we have, how much deporting can we do.
Mike, I've never called for lava to rain down from the heavens, but maybe upon Washington D.C. Would you be that sweet red hot lava for us?
I've never been called sweet, and you call me Sweet Ginger, so I think I meant then. During my 3-week reign of terror as Trump acting Attorney General, before I get chased out of town with my Trump pardon, I will rain hell on Washington, D.C. We've talked about this, Ben. I have 5 lists ready to go, and they're growing. List number 1, we're going to fire. We're going to fire a lot of people in the executive branch and the deep state. Number 2, we're going to indict. We're going to indict Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and James Biden and every other
Wait, for what?
sleazeball Biden, except for the 5-year-old granddaughter who they refused to acknowledge for 5 years until the political pressure got to Joe Biden. Number 3, we're going to deport. We're going to deport a lot of people, 10 million people and growing, anchor babies, their parents, their grandparents. We're going to put kids in cages. It's going to be glorious. We're going to detain a lot of people in the D.C. Gulag and Gitmo. And list number 5, I'm going to recommend a lot of pardons. Every January 6th defendant is going to get a pardon, especially my hero Horn Man. He is definitely at the top of the pardon list.
We actually went out and have some upcoming content with Jacob Chansley. We did a podcast interview with him. Went out into the desert. We wanted to learn about shamanism, so we went out into the desert with him. We'll be releasing that video pretty soon, actually. And I
wonder if that guy thought he was like doing satire, right? I wonder if he thought that people would think he was joking. You could see like where somebody could think that they were saying all that in jest. He's like, oh, actually, I've just got a list. I'm just I'm going after everybody if I'm the interim, And it could be funny, but the problem is I'm not sure that I don't think that person was kidding. We don't do a lot of celebrity stuff on here, but so far as I can tell, one Mr. Harrison Ford generally doesn't chime in about this kind of stuff. So here's Harrison Ford. Yeah, I mean, it's not like he doesn't talk, but he generally doesn't chime in about this kind of stuff.
I've been voting for 64 years. Never really wanted to talk about it very much, but when dozens of former members of the Trump administration are sounding alarms, saying, for God's sake, don't do this again, you have to pay attention. They're telling us something important. These aren't soft people. They're governors, generals, standing up against the leader of the party they spent their lives advocating for. For many of them, this will be the first time they've ever voted for someone who doesn't have an R next to their name, because they know this really matters. The truth is this: Kamala Harris will protect your right to disagree with her about policies or ideas, and then, as we have done for centuries.
So that's weird that it got cut there, but that's whatever it is. This is a guy who I think the Russians tried to get his plane to fucking fall out of a window a bunch of times, and he just keeps living. But more to the point, this guy generally doesn't say a lot on this kind of stuff. You know, I think everybody knows he's a fucking Democrat, but that's not really it's very different from like speaking out a lot. So here we got JD Vance. You know how like when you do like the front facing camera and the vertical video on Facebook, all the words, everything in the background is mirrored? Well, JD Vance doesn't really understand that. Check this out.
Real men of genius.
But what? This is what the song is.
Real men of genius.
I'm just like, man, definitely like.
Real men of genius. Real men of genius.
Oh, they take the sign off and put it back on the right way. That'll
leave it.
Stupid.
Real men of genius.
No.
Fucking love it. I got more. We got more JD Vance here. Here's Jake Tapper just laughing at him. I got a couple clips here. Jake Tapper just laughing at the guy. Check this out.
Including the former vice president, Mike Pence, all of these people have this horribly damaged worldview, and they're all just going after Donald Trump because they want to send people into war. That's really your argument?
Absolutely.
It's not like these are conservative.
Absolutely, that's my
These
argument.
are not conservative
Jake,
Republicans. These aren't conservative Republicans who are concerned about Donald Trump. They're not. That's not right.
All of these people, Jake, they came into office thinking that they could control Donald Trump. That when he said he wanted peace in the world,
Mike Pence thought he could control Donald Trump.
Yes, he did. And when he found out that he couldn't, they all turned on Donald Trump.
Fucking laughing at him. You're not supposed to laugh at your guest, but sometimes you just can't help, I guess, but laugh at your guest. Now, here's more from that. Here's more from that interview.
And you'd much rather talk about what Donald Trump allegedly said than what Donald Trump did in office.
I'm talking about
what he did in office, Jake.
What he said publicly.
1.5% inflation.
The military to go after the enemy within, which is the American people.
He did not say that, Jake.
The enemy within?
He said that he was going to send the military after the American people. Show me the quote where he said that.
He said the enemy within.
He said far left lunatics. He's talking about people rioting
and Schiff.
He's talking about people rioting after the election. I think
the Pelosi's were rioting after the election.
He said
Adam Schiff was rioting after the election.
You're using two separate phrases. He said about using the military that far left lunatics, people who riot in the wake of an election, people who burn down American cities in the summer of 2020.
But wait, they didn't do that. Even if you accept, like, let's say you accept that people were rioting and burning down cities. They weren't. A few buildings got lit on fire. You know, it's America. Your folks rioted after an election.
What he said to Joe Rogan on Friday, the enemy within that he wants the military to go after.
No, this is
the enemy within, a bigger problem than Kim Jong-un.
The second part.
We have people that are really bad people that I really think want to make this country unsuccessful. That's who the enemy within.
Man, this fucking JD Vance is just incredibly bad at this. Just incredibly bad at this. Up next, we got here's a Gutfeld. Here's a Gutfeld. Play a lot of Gutfeld on here, obviously. Here is him. He's an expert on Hitler. If you could imagine that. Well, great websites they got going. I'm having hell problems tonight. I'm sorry, everybody. Technical difficulty, which is a little weird around here. And for the people listening to the podcast, this is in fact live.
I just want to say one thing about Joy Reid. You know, she said this abandonment by blacks is happening despite the Hitler talk. It's happening because of the Hitler talk. No one is buying it, right? It's actually hysterical and insulting to people when you constantly bring up the word Hitler. And the most damaging thing that's happening right now, there are these polls among young people who are saying Hitler had some good ideas. And the reason for that is that you lowered the bar of what Hitler could be compared to.
Fucking Gutfeld. What a nightmare. All right, we got Lindsey Graham went on ABC, and well, I don't think that he really expected this particular thing to happen. Man, I can't wait till we're into red light. I'm having hella problems with both Twitter and Threads this evening. Here we go.
Now, you have been very critical of the generals, two of them using the word fascist. Mitch McConnell and Secretary and Speaker Johnson have been very critical, saying this is inciting violence. How dare you call Donald Trump a fascist? Let me just play you a little bit about what Donald Trump has had to say about Kamala Harris.
The true divide in American politics today is between these far-left fascists led by Harris and her group. We have a fascist person running who's incompetent. She's a Marxist, communist, fascist, socialist.
Marxist, communist, fascist.
She's a socialist. She's gone past that. Somebody's got to explain this woman. There's a radical left Marxist, communist, fascist.
So why don't you ask me, do I think Kamala Harris is a fascist? No. Do I think she's a communist? No. I think she's the most liberal person to ever be dominated by a major party. I think she's ineffective. I think she's incompetent. She's
right, but you and your pals were saying that kind of rhetoric is akin to a call for violence, and so now of course, now that they show your guy like just over and over and over and over and over again, like saying the thing that you are saying is a call for violence. Now it's like, well, why don't you ask me what I think about this? Why don't you ask me what I think about this? Because that's what really matters. What do I think? Up next, we got here's Jesse Waters again. He is an expert on black folks. Act like you know.
That's why Obama told the brothers, if you don't vote for Kamala, you ain't black. And you're sexist. Obama lecturing the brothers, Kamala is not exactly sending her best. Kamala Harris has an issue with the brothers. Her VP's wooing white dudes, and Obama's scolding the brothers. Barack's lecturing the brothers, and Obama said Kamala isn't doing well with the brothers. So, number one, how do you prove you're black? I'm 0.1%. Do I qualify?
Well, the brothers, dude, he sounds about as whack as anybody could ever sound saying that. We got more Jesse Waters because, of course, we do. This is on him. This is about voting and transitioning.
Now, I don't see why any man would vote Democrat. It's not the party of virtue, security. It's not the party of strength. It's definitely not the party of family. And to be a man and then vote for a woman just because she's a woman, is either childish, that person has mommy issues, or they're just trying to be accepted by other women. And I heard the scientists say the other day that when a man votes for a woman, he actually transitions into a woman.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that's what the science says.
Science says that.
Even the Fox Conserva Barbie is like, oh, is that what's going on here? God, I bet he's a fucking pain in the ass to work with too. Because I bet he thinks he's fucking hilarious and he thinks he's like the fucking star of the show and shit. I bet he's probably just fucking insufferable in the office. Here is Waters talking about what happens if his wife were to maybe vote for someone different than who he votes for, which for a long time my parents did, and they've been together for a very long time. It turns out you can vote for somebody different than somebody else, but you'd be fine.
And if I found out Emma was going into the voting booth and pulling the lever for Harris, that's the same thing as having an affair.
So funny backstory here. I think Emma used to be his assistant, and he left his first wife after having an affair with Emma, I believe.
That to me,
oh my God! Let him finish. Go, Jesse. It's our day.
That violates
Judge.
the sanctity of our marriage.
On. Yes.
What else is she keeping from me?
Exactly.
What else has she been lying about?
Why would she lie to you? Have you threatened her? Why would she lie to you?
Even Boxwine Janine is like, why do you think she might lie to you about something like this? You threatening her? Even Boxwine Janine is like, what are you talking about?
I mean, a tease.
Why would she do that and then vote Harris? Why would she say she was voting Trump
not the problem.
and then voting Harris? And I caught her, and then she said, I lied to you for the last 4 years.
So you admit you intimidate
It's
people.
over, Emma. That would be D-Day.
Guy's an idiot. My fucking God, how does he make... Like, I'm a better broadcaster than he is. How does he make all this money like doing this? It's very, very unsettling. Speaking of unsettling, this is an ad from at America on Twitter. It's just at America. This isn't an account run by America. I think it's run by apartheid Clyde, Elon Musk himself. But this is a problem.
This election, I think, is going to decide the fate of America and the fate of Western civilization.
Music sucks too. It's like way too busy.
The next president of the United States. Enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
If you try to
God.
kill our citizens, we will kill you. If you spill a drop of American blood, we will spill a gallon of yours. If you come back, we're going to kill you. We're going to give you the death penalty or kill you. The fact is, and I'll say it now, you have to get him the hell out. You have to get him out. We will make America great again.
What the fuck? It's so bad. Everything about it's so bad. From the America account. Fucking Twitter. I guess that's what America was. Jesus fucking Christ. Oh man, we are so fucked. We are absolutely so fucked. Up next, we got this is one of the dumbest people on the planet. This person wore a Trump hat to the polling place. And you can't wear you can't push anyone, you can't wear anything that's pushing anyone to vote anyway on anything on the ballot at the polling place. It's a good rule. So here's how this lady handled it. She's fucking brilliant.
It also says Trump. Oh, I'm not allowed. Okay, so I'm not allowed to be here with my Trump or my MAGA. So you know what I did, sir? I went and I got a MAGA face tat. So I'm gonna come in there to the polls. I'll take this hat off. You can hold it to me, and I am good to go.
I'm sorry, Matt. You can take the hat off.
Oh man, imagine doing that to yourself. Just imagine putting any fucking political candidate like on your face permanently. Here's another at a polling place where these election workers, my God, these people working the election. They're not. It's been rough on them, particularly in Shasta County, which we'll talk more about later this week. They're just trying to do their civic duty. They get paid for it, but like they're just working the election, man. Leave these people alone.
I'm not taking the hat off. It doesn't say Trump or Harris. If you want to interpret this, be it associated to a candidate, that's up to you or anybody else.
You can't electioneer at the polling place, dude. Then get out of line.
If it said Trump, like the one I got in my car, I see that. I get that. I love that in the car. Sorry. It doesn't say Trump.
Now he's filming himself being an idiot. I want the video from his fucking thing. So you can't do that. You're just not allowed to do. You're not like 100 feet, depending. I think other places it's more, but it's like standard. It seems to be like 100 feet that you're not supposed to electioneer. It's just so that like people don't get in arguments and shit at the polling place, right? You don't want people having like fucking beef like while other people are trying to vote and shit. It's like a good rule, and these people just don't like it. So I don't know a shit about the event that we're looking at here. It seems like it's some kind of fighting event. I've not ever really been exposed to much of a CM Punk, but check this out.
Some busy stuff. All right, before we close and get out of here, obviously big elections coming up. Everybody make sure you're registered to vote.
Lord.
We always like to talk politics on air.
Love it.
Since we're here, we'll ask the two of you guys any political endorsements you guys would like to make.
I personally, I don't like to get involved with politics, but I do feel compelled. We have a huge election coming up in the town of Collierville. Seat 5 for Alderman, Jason Lederfine. The gentleman served his country, he serves his promotion, and he now wants to serve your town. Vote for that man. This is where you say, I'm CM Punk and I approve this message.
Local politics. I'm CM Punk and I wish we would stop genocide, you know?
Well, the other guy thought that was funny.
All right, well, listen, I think that's enough talking for today, isn't it? Let's get back.
Why'd that guy get a belly laugh for that? That was fucking... There's a big audience full of people who may not be receptive to that message. Fuck yeah, CM Punk. Hopefully he doesn't get fucking canceled for that, because that should be like a non-controversial statement that genocide bad. Up next, we got a double shot of Mehdi Hassan. Here's him talking to Jill Stein. Jill Stein, like a horde of cicadas, is going to disappear for 4 years after election day, then only to come back a few months before the general election in 4 more years. If she decides to continue her, if we could call it a political career, we'll call it that.
But in Moscow, shouldn't you say something about the Russian imperialists?
And in fact, I did. And had
Where?
the speech not been taken down, it lived on the internet on the RT channel. My remarks. See that
You called out the Russian. Let her finish.
Yes, I actually did call that out. And
Go ahead.
yes, it is a Clinton hit job. And that.
So if you're on anything with your running mate, y'all shouldn't talk over each other. It's just bad to have the presidential candidate and vice presidential candidate like talking over each other.
was a posting on social media. The actual purpose of that visit was to address a conference of media from around the
Well, it was
world.
a Russia Today conference, which is a propaganda channel for Putin. I mean,
Well,
it was some neutral
yes, in the
conference.
same way that the BBC is a propaganda channel for
It's
the
not-
UK.
It's not the same way.
Yes.
It's not the same way.
We all
Look, they're both talking. Could you guys like take turns? This is so bad. Could you imagine? I mean, could you imagine Harrison Walls doing this, where they're just both clamoring to fucking argue with whoever's talking to them and fucking talking over each other? You can't hear either of them. I don't even think Trump and Vance would do this.
Channel for Team Blue. We have our but aren't the American people entitled to decide? What propaganda they're going to
I'm
listen
not saying
to?
you shouldn't. I'm not saying you should be banned from that. I'm just wondering why you went.
When our corporate media will not cover us, yes, then we do have to embrace whatever media we
And
can
you didn't
get.
feel you should criticize Putin while he was
Actually,
there?
I did.
To his face?
She did criticize. Yes,
What did you say to him?
So
Well. So
not at that conference, but he heard it.
He was sitting 3 feet away.
That was not the conference.
I know,
that
but you were
was a
sitting at a
dinner afterwards.
So why not say something?
that's different. It was at the dinner right after the conference. He wasn't at the conference. Just like, what the shit is she talking about?
Vladimir Putin speaks English.
He was there for 5 minutes before he gave a speech in Russian. Yeah.
If Joe Biden was sitting at a table with you 5 minutes, you wouldn't call him out on Gaza? If Benjamin Netanyahu was sitting at a table with you, you wouldn't call him out?
But
so why not Putin?
if he is unavailable, if he's
She doesn't want her airplane to fall out of the window.
and there's just screaming noise, what, you're going to go shout over
You're
the
telling me if you sat at a table with Joe Biden and Benjamin Netanyahu for 5 minutes, you wouldn't say anything to them?
This is why I
Sitting
made the
next to his main
point to
spokesman.
focus my speech on these remarks
right.
and to criticize Russia for basically
not to-
following in the U.S.
So here's what
footsteps by
bothers a
bombing
lot.
Syria.
Here's what. Let me finish this conversation. No, if I can Hold on, understand, I need to talk about Russia, and I'll bring you in because Okay, you weren't there with respect. Jill was.
That's fair.
On the
Or with disrespect at this point. Fuck it.
Planes bombed a residential area in Aleppo, killed 8 people, including 4 kids. 10 days after you went to that dinner in Russia, on 20th of December, Russian warplanes bombed a marketplace in Idlib, killed over 40 Syrian people in the area. Did you ever condemn any of that?
Yes,
Did you feel
absolutely.
bad about being
Yes.
in Russia, talking about peace while they're dropping bombs?
Well, that was the point of that was one of
It
the
didn't
points
work, did it?
in my actual.
This is really convenient, right? Because you can't go back and listen to what she said, so she can pretend she said anything. Although I bet maybe on archive.org. Archive.org's having some problems though.
Yes, but I was also on that.
All right. So yeah, I'm not sure that was anybody's best performance there, but the 2 candidates just talking over each other was really pretty fucking bad. She could have just said, "Hey," she's like, "I was in a foreign country, wasn't trying to pick a fight with their president." Like, why not just say that? She's like, "You gonna go to some foreign country and pick a fight with their president with Mehdi Hassan?" The answer is probably yes, and his airplane might fall out of a window as a result. So here's another. You probably all saw this clip. Mehdi Hassan was on CNN, and Ryan Girdusky decided he was just going to say this.
But if you don't want to be called Nazis, stop doing.
You're called an
You've
been called an anti-Semite more than anyone else's table.
Yeah.
And people would sit there and no, by me. I never called you an anti-Semite. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying I don't.
I'm a supporter of the Palestinians. I'm used to it.
Yeah, I hope your beeper doesn't go off. The thing is
Did
that
you just say I should die?
You should not. No,
Did you just say I should be killed?
No, I did not say that.
Whoa, yo, fuck that, dude! Get the fuck out of here! Oh my god. Got some news about election fraud. This is voter registration fraud in Pennsylvania, and I just wonder who did that. I wonder if it was organized by a political party or political action committee or kind of dirty tricksters. I just wonder who might have done this thing we're about to hear about.
Good morning, everyone. District Attorney Heather Adams. On Tuesday afternoon, I was contacted by Krista Miller, who is our Chief Clerk of Elections, regarding potentially fraudulent voter registration applications that had recently been received by her office. At that time, she informed me that the Elections Office received approximately 2,500 applications at or near the deadline for registering to vote. While preparing to process these applications, staff noticed that numerous applications appeared to have the same handwriting, were filled out on the same day with unknown signatures, and some were previously registered voters, excuse me, and the signatures on file did not match the signatures on the application. So before I begin to summarize our preliminary findings, I must remind everyone that this is an ongoing investigation, and for that reason, I will be limited in the details that I can provide. Lancaster County detectives began investigating the voter registration applications and immediately found applications that were indeed fraudulent. Indicators of fraud included inaccuracies with the addresses listed on the applications, false personal identification information, as well as false names. A number of the applications also contained names that did not match the provided Social Security information. In some cases, applications contained correct personal identification information, such as the correct address, correct phone number, date of birth, driver's license number, and Social Security number. But the individuals listed on the applications informed detectives that they did not request the form, they did not complete the form, and verified that the signature on the form was not theirs. At this point, it is believed that the fraudulent voter registrations are connected to a large-scale canvassing operations for voter registrations that date back to June. However, the majority of the applications received are dated August 15th and after. Those canvassing for voter registrations were employed and paid to obtain voter registration applications. The majority of the applications were from residents in the city of Lancaster. However, applications were also received from residents in Columbia, Elizabethtown, Mountjoy, Akron, Ephrata, Stevens, Strasburg, as well as other locations across Lancaster County. The canvasses themselves took place at various shopping centers, parking lots of grocery stores and businesses, sidewalks, and parks. During this preliminary investigations, detectives were able to verify some of the applications were indeed legitimate. In these instances, the applicant verified that they did provide information to a canvasser. For these applications, we will immediately advise voter registration and that we confirm that they are legitimate requests, and voter registration will process that application. Thus far, of the investigations that we have completed, we have determined that 60% have been fraudulent. That is of the investigations that we've completed. We do have more to do today, and my understanding is that voter registration is still going through the box of 2,500, but should be completed sometime here today. As I said, the investigation is ongoing. We are aware of at least 2 other counties that received similar applications that are currently being investigated. At this point, we have confirmed violation of our crimes code as well as our elections code. We have all available detectives working on this. We are all hands on deck so that we can properly assess the validity of these applications in a timely manner. If needed, we will request additional assistance from our local police departments.
So this is fucked up too, because if like, what happens if you're like a legitimate voter that you saw, oh, a place to register to vote, and so you go there, you register to vote. Now, like, you might have like a detective calling you about your ballot and stuff. That's fucking bad shit. We don't know who this was, but I'm guessing this wasn't our guys, right? This is done pretty poorly. I'm just guessing this wasn't our guys. I'm thinking, because it wasn't in Philly, wasn't in Pittsburgh, right? Although she did say there were people in other counties where this had been done too. But like somebody said in chat, this is an example of the system working, right? Where they're able to catch at the point of registration what appear, well, I mean, it's almost beyond appearing to be what are almost certainly fraudulent voter registrations, because some of them had the same handwriting. Some of them, the information didn't match. Some of them, I guess they just made up Social Security numbers. Not even good at this, thankfully. Up next, we got a guy. He's suggesting that you just call on the state legislatures of swing states essentially to allocate the allocate the electors for the Electoral College before all the votes are cast, and before all the votes are counted. Check this out. This seems like a normal thing to do.
Have you thought of, and why aren't you calling on the state legislatures in the entire country to just go ahead and convene on November 5th to allocate their own state's electors? At a minimum in North Carolina, New Hampshire, Nebraska, Arizona, Georgia, and Wisconsin, so that those states guarantee that no illegals are voting, no illegal drop boxes, no illegal signature non-verification going on, and it's fully free, fair, transparent, and it can be live streamed on X, Rumble, and C-SPAN for the whole world to see. But
like what he's suggesting is that this is going to be before the votes are all counted.
Watches that state legislature hold that vote on November 5th to allocate those states' electors, so that Arizona doesn't have to wait 10 to 13 days.
Yeah, why count all the fucking votes? Just wait. Just do it all the next day.
Pennsylvania, right? And other states. Guess what happens if everyone votes by political party under that framework in the country? Right now, 276 electoral votes are controlled by Republican legislatures.
Yeah, this guy's literally just calling for like the state legislatures to potentially overturn an election.
Where they control the House and the Senate, and in the case of Nebraska, it's a unicameral controlled by Republicans. What happens when Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, Donald Trump, and Tucker Carlson all call on this? Do the chances increase?
Yeah.
Seriously, do they?
Yes.
I mean, as a state senator, do you think that?
Absolutely.
State rep?
Yeah.
Congressman? What are we waiting for?
Yeah, really.
Mr. Rogan?
Joe Rogan, please tell them to do the thing.
For the November-December surprise to stop Jamie Raskin from creating civil war conditions, guaranteeing the re-election of the Republican nominee.
So this guy's just like, hey, what we need to do is get powerful people who we think are on our side, although we don't really know about whether, I don't think Joe Rogan's pretty concerned with his own image. I don't think he'd ever call for something like this. I don't like Joe Rogan, but I think this is like way out of the realm of what he would call for. Tucker probably would do it. Elon would do it. But like what they're doing is they're just saying, hey, you should actually, before they finish counting the votes, we should just have the Republican state legislatures decide who won the states. Gerrymandered states. Like, get out of here, dude. This is like, it's like the fucking accuse your enemy of the thing that you're going to do. They're like openly calling for like the overturn of like the will of the people, or the potential overturn of the will of the people in these states. That's fucking terrible. So our next story, this is quite bad. We watched a little bit of the Flint City Council meeting this last Tuesday on public comment, but we didn't catch this one. Apparently somebody pulled a gun during an argument during the city council meeting in Flint, Michigan.
Oh, okay.
Wait, no full screen? Oh, there it is. Fucking local news websites are the worst.
In the back corner.
Point of order!
In the back corner.
Point, officer!
In the back corner.
Now see, this is what I was saying. Y'all letting this stuff slide, and somebody gonna get hurt up in here. Somebody gonna get hurt. Y'all letting this slide.
Council will remain at ease.
Tense moments at Flint City Council's meeting tonight as a gun was pulled out by a female audience member.
What started as an argument in the back of chambers you just heard there could have turned violent, but the gun was spotted. Flint police diffused the situation, and that meeting was adjourned.
Tiffany Maddox spoke with Flint City Council President Liddell Lewis tonight about what happened and what she feels needs to happen moving forward. Tiffany.
Yes, Lewis says they were scheduled to interview third ward candidates tonight, along with a lot of other business. But after
brandishing a firearm during an argument is a crime. It's a violent crime.
Murphy, it was all overshadowed by an unfortunate act.
Seeing that people are, they have guns and they're willing to pull them out, yeah, absolutely not. I know I don't feel safe. I'll speak for myself. Do not feel safe coming to do my job just to serve the residents.
Flint City Council President Liddell Lewis is referring to Monday night's unfortunate event.
We had a family member of someone that was seeking to be appointed. They went and they said something triggering to the Murphy family that was sitting in the back, and so that caused a back and forth, and so from there, that family member came around, and I guess it was the melee continued. So then another family member of the appointed potential appointee came around and pulled out a firearm.
While there are new ordinances in place regarding threats to council members and disruptive conduct of attendees, at this point, people are allowed to lawfully carry guns on City Hall premises.
What the fuck?
Due to a lawsuit filed in 2023 against Flint Mayor Sheldon Neely and City Council for a ban on guns at City Hall. A judge ordered the removal of metal detectors and gun-free zone signs after several gun rights groups and 3 Flint residents sued to stop the city from enforcing its gun-free zone. They claim Mayor Neely violated the state's Open Meetings Act by excluding people who legally carry a gun in public from Flint City Council meetings. But tonight, it's all come to a head.
This is the reason why we can't afford to have that happen. This is the reason why we need to make sure that we always maintain a certain level of security.
And Flint Mayor Sheldon Neely released a statement following tonight's meeting. It reads in part, quote, "We will continue to work with the Flint Police Department to ensure that public meetings are safe," end quote. Now, Flint police say the woman legally possessed the firearm and that at this time there are no arrests. Now, in the meantime, council does plan to reconvene on October 23rd for their next meeting. For ABC 12, I'm Tiffany Maddox.
So, I guess there's a fine line between just showing someone that you have a firearm and like brandishing it. I think brandishing generally means that you like point it at someone in a threatening way. But if there's like an argument going on and you pull out a gun, the implication is pretty clear. Mind you, there are cases where I suppose if you are concerned for your safety and you happen to have a firearm, you could be like, you need to leave me alone because I am armed. And then you show the person your gun. But that's different than, I don't know. I'm not an expert on all this, obviously. So up next, we got, someone got big mad at a Halloween display in Denver.
And caught on camera, a man destroying a political Halloween display. This was in the Jefferson Park neighborhood. Well, this video has hundreds of thousands of views on social media.
Skeleton didn't do shit to you.
Kasha Carriage speaking with the homeowner tonight, who's hoping to find whoever did this.
Ashley, we are just 5 days out from Halloween, but also less than 2 weeks away from Election Day.
It's an amazing neighborhood. Jefferson Park is really great.
Just a half mile up from Empower Field.
Game days are difficult just because you don't know who you're going to get.
On a Broncos Sunday in early October, with fans walking by.
I was just sitting on my couch watching TV.
Look at like his friend or his girlfriend or his sister was like, what are you doing?
Right by our front window.
You can see a man knock over one skeleton. 2 skeletons, walk away, and come back for more.
This is where he actually grabs the skeleton in the front right corner and throws it towards the house,
breaking the arms off of 12-foot Scully.
I hate to say I'm not surprised, but I'm not. I can only assume that based off of what he did to our yard, he does not agree with the things that are in my yard.
Leah Payne followed the group down the street.
I was like, what are you doing? Like, what's wrong?
Damn, she followed this guy. She's like, why are you fucking with my skeletons?
She then took to social media with over 500,000 views.
It was a little unnerving to kind of put it out on the internet, but also people need to be held accountable for their actions.
Although her skeletons are back standing.
Hell yeah.
You don't destruct someone's property like that.
The homeowner did file a police report with the Denver Police Department, but with that video circulating on TikTok, the homeowner hopes to find out who did this. Reporting in the newsroom, Kasha Carriage, Fox 31.
Dude, she followed the guy. Fuck yeah. Get him, lady. But she's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Which is the fucking right question. What are you doing? This one also comes out of Colorado. This is from Colorado Springs. This is a parking dispute between an apartment building or maybe a condo complex and a tattoo shop.
Ready? Sit straight. Hello, I'm TV's Mark Salinger, down in Colorado Springs today to share an important story going on in our community.
Blur it out for sure.
There are a lot of words to describe what we're blurring, but let's just call it a male body part.
The mural is basically, it's a tow truck driver towing a car. He's a big old running over while other are running away from him, doing Colorado activities like mountain biking and snowboarding away and stuff like that.
This is Pace. He's a tattoo artist at Fallen Heroes Tattoo in Colorado Springs. He painted the mural that we can't show you.
It's just been a parking dispute, so we tried to work together and it really got nowhere, so we knew something like this mural would get their attention.
The new apartment building next door has been towing customers' cars. They share an alley, but there are only signs on the apartment side that say resident parking only. It's confusing. And they say at least 45 of their customers have gotten their cars towed recently for parking in spaces outside their building.
They were the ones being at first, so it's basically a sword fight right now.
Fucking love this guy. Like they're being dicks. Because like the newscaster's right. It's if there's like no parking signs on one side and there's a building like where there's no parking spaces there either. The other side, the parking spaces are like adjacent to the business that you're going to. You're like, well, I'm going to park at the parking spaces that are right in front of the business that I'm going to.
I feel like we're winning.
To get back at them, they did what tattoo artists do best. Now everyone in the apartment building has to look out over this.
It's very cartoony, but it's still.
I wanted to know if the mural violated any laws here in Colorado Springs. So being the professional journalist that I am, I reached out to the city to ask them. They said that since the mural is on private property and the owners approved it, at this time, they can't say that the mural violates any laws.
I mean, we're 6 days away from the most important election of my lifetime, and here we are talking about the on my roof.
David Brown owns the tattoo shop. He's in Florida right now, fielding phone calls from reporters across the country.
There's a possibility that we're the in all of this, because maybe the rest of downtown Colorado Springs wants a building that looks like IKEA threw up.
Since FCC rules won't let us show you what the mural looks like, I'll try and draw it. Okay, that's looking good. Better. So this is kind of what it looks like. Just kidding. You know we can't show that on TV.
So like, yeah, this is like, it sounds like the tattoo shop or whatever was like, hey, why are you the people, like maybe the parking is for the apartment complex, right? But they probably said, hey, what are you doing here? This is confusing to people, and they're parking here thinking this is parking for like the business. But I think that probably is parking for the business. That's like it's an alley. Isn't the alley like a city street? I'm fucking confused. Does the apartment complex own the alley? There's like a lot of questions we don't have the answer to here, but I do like that they drew a bunch of dicks on their roof. I am 100% for sure with the tattoo parlor here. I don't have any tattoos, but tattoo artists are generally pretty cool people. Up next, we got somebody in Wisconsin is running for Senate, and they have in the past said that we should ban beer. I don't know if you guys know about people in Wisconsin. They drink beer.
How do you know a politician's not from around here? How about calling for a ban on beer sales? Meet Eric Hovde, a California banker running for Senate here, and he actually said that. Quote, Hovde criticized alcohol sales, saying booze should only be available to people who brew or distill it themselves. A millionaire politician who doesn't just lower the bar, I
like how they're pouring the beer. They pour the beer backward. It's a great political ad.
2 out of
Fucking fantastic political ad. Like, this guy's a carpetbagger, and he's a dumb fuck who thinks like you should have to make your own beer to drink beer. Up next, we got 2 more, and we're going into red light. I forgot about Kenneth Copeland, but he's still around, and here's what he has to say this week. Shout out to Right Wing Watch, of course, as always. Couldn't do this show without Right Wing Watch.
Steady George Washington. He could have been made king. Nope. He pushed.
Ooh, Joni Table Talk. We need to look into Joni Table Talk.
He's the one that pushed this. All men are created equal. So he turned his Bible right there, 17th chapter of Genesis. And he opened his Bible there. And at that place, so the United States is one of the many nations. That's the reason this country belongs to God.
Yes.
Wait, what? In the Bible?
Our first president.
Wow.
And the first act of Congress. Mm. He designed the flag with the red and white stripes, the field of blue, and in this case, it had 13 stars for the 13 colonies. Yes. He designed that, and Betsy Ross made it, by hand. Mm. And he got on his knee and he kissed his Bible. Mm. And he said, "You will be our God." Mm. And
did he do that?
Yes. And the Liberty Bell from the great Jubilee out of the Book of Liberty, book of Leviticus.
Yeah. Out of the Book of Liberty, he fucking Jesus. He didn't know shit. He didn't know anything. I probably know more about this guy's religion than he does.
Let liberty ring throughout the land, and they rang it till they broke it. Praise, they breasted that bell, ringing it. And we need to remember that, so I pray every meal for my partners. My partners are covenant partners. Mm. And I'm
gay?
For them every meal. Lord,
bless my wife, said my partner.
All over the world, bless them beyond measure, spirit, soul, body, financially, and socially.
Praise God. So you're saying that David and Abraham and George Washington were covenant-minded.
Yes.
And we should be covenant-minded.
And he walked from there down the street to St. Paul's Chapel. Mm-hmm. And there they prayed. Well, St. Paul's Chapel survived 9/11.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
right,
man.
And he prayed.
I mean, so did the house.
And they walked hand in hand. Wasn't in Washington, D.C. yet. Mm-hmm. The first act of Congress was to dedicate this land to God.
Yes.
We must never forget that.
I think all of that is probably exaggerated or just fucking untrue. Like, he was talking about the flag. I'm not even sure that the flag, like the 13 stars with the stripes on the flag, like when was this? Was this like during the Continental Congress? Like, I'm just missing a lot of like context from this. Like, when was this supposed to happen? So wasn't Washington like a deist, not like a Christian? I could be wrong, because I know some of them were Christians, but a lot of them were deists too, where they just sort of believed in the vague notion of a higher power that tended not to be interventionalist in people's lives. Anyway, here's a fun story that I wish was true. Tucker Carlson apparently got mauled by a demon.
In my bed at night, and I got attacked while I was asleep with my wife and 4 dogs in the bed, and mauled, physically mauled.
In a spiritual attack by a demon?
Yeah, by a demon. Or by something unseen that left.
Is that right?
Claw marks on my sides,
So it left physical mark.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
I woke up and I couldn't breathe. And then I had these terrible pains when I had 4 claw marks on either side underneath my arms and on my left shoulder. And they're bleeding.
Tom Mulder and Scully.
They were bleeding.
They're bleeding, yeah. No, they're actual claw marks. And I sleep on my side, so I wasn't clawing myself. I don't have long nails.
But if you sleep on your side, never mind.
And they didn't fit my hands anyway. So I called my assistant, who was like the only evangelical Christian I know, well enough to call with something bizarre like that. She said, oh yeah, no, that happens. Yeah, people are attacked in their bed by demons. What? What are you even talking about?
See the full clip at christianitiesmovie.com.
Nope. I mean, maybe. What a fucking place to end. What a place to fucking end the podcast there. A demon somehow mauled him. He sleeps on his side, so he couldn't have done it himself, but somehow a demon it can just manifest between your bed and yourself. There's so many problems. That might be, I'm not sure if the Kenneth Copeland thing or the Tucker Carlson thing we ended on there was that giant or steaming pile of bullshit, but it's not really important. So, hey, everybody, thanks for tuning into the podcast portion of the show. If you're listening on like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all those places, good for you. Make sure you're following the podcast, but you're not getting the whole show. You can check out the show live. We're live 6 nights a week, actually, at twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. Or if you don't want to tune in live, which is fine, I guess, you can go to eplex.store or patreon.com/Echoplex. Sign up at the $5 level and you'll get it emailed to you the very next day. Live viewers, listeners, whatever, you know the drill. Stick around. We're going to go into red light. I'm going to play this Periscope song, change the color of my lights, change the contents of my beverage, and it'll get weird. Weirder. Bye.